Sweet. It looks like we are live. What is going on, guys? Welcome to another video. This is your boy Narik Chase, and in this video we're on Streamline episode 35, and in this one, of course, is going to be Star Wars: The Force Unleashed 3 game ideas. Now, I like the first game, I like the second game, and of course everybody's highly anticipating the third game, but unfortunately, from what I've heard and what I've read, that's been canned, at least for now. Now, the Force Unleashed series is basically follows Darth Vader's apprentice, known as Starkiller, and in the games, Starkiller is sent to undergo these top secret missions for Vader, towards eliminating Jedi, finding out more about what's going on with the Resistance, things like that. But then he ends up slowly but surely turning to the light side of the Force. So there's a bit of a duality issue that he has to deal with throughout both games. I do like the Force Unleashed series. I think it's actually a really good and interesting, and probably some of the best games of the Star Wars video game franchise. All right, now in this video, I'm just gonna simply just throw out ideas about the third installment of the game, what they can do better for the game, some ideas I wish I would like to see, and the things that should be fine-tuned, things of that nature. Now, one of the things that I will say that third game must not have, like it should not have, is the damn button mashing QTEs. I like quick time events, but quick time events is a gameplay feature that should be used sparingly. And if you've played any of these Force Unleashed games, they're just filled to the brim with quick time events. I mean, it's like playing Resident Evil 6 again. Every little execution is a quick time event. Every little battle sequence, clash, using the Force is just some button mashing that makes the game feel very cumbersome, repetitive, just a chore in other aspects. If you kill a big enemy, there's these stupid QTEs when you do these execution moves on them. Never liked it. Like, if you're going to use the execution move, let us pop in the button sequence for it, and then let them just ride on out. Other than that, we don't need these QTEs. Now, maybe if it's like a battle between Force users or something like that, then maybe implement that into the battle and not make it nothing but button mashing the entire time. And that's always been the case, whether you're fighting bigger enemies, whether you're using a bit of his powers, whether you're doing battle with certain Force members. It's just the whole quick time event button mashing thing was just, I don't know who thought that was a good idea to put these in these damn games, but you are a jackass. I guess they did it to make the game more engaging, but no, it just actually just no. Another thing, and I am very, very, very committed to this idea that if you have the skill tree, and I like certain skill trees in games, especially if that's fleshed out. So if I want to play a game, I could try to go through the game several times and play the game different ways based on how the skill tree is allowing me to go. I don't like the skill tree in this game because it's not really a skill tree. It's a little skill thing where I don't like a game where you can have a skill tree and basically get all the skills. That's one thing I didn't like about Fallout 4. It shouldn't be. You should be able to get all of them. I mean, if you get them all, it is kind of like God mode, and it is pretty fun to be that badass in the game. But in like a game like this, no. Now, there's generally 3 areas. Was it 2 or 3? No, 2 or 3. No, 3 areas in the Force Unleashed games when it comes to Starkiller's abilities. There's his powers. No, it's 2. I'm sorry. There's his powers, and then there's his lightsaber combat skill. And I would push it that if they make a Force Unleashed 3, make an actual decent skill tree, 3 different branches, one focusing on his physical abilities, one which would go for like stamina, how long he can use the Force, and how he can interact with different objects. utilizing the Force, have the Force abilities itself, like grip, as well as the telekinesis and force push like that. And then lastly, let it be like the lightsaber combat. So that way, you know, if I want to go through the game, just mowing everybody down, go straight down lightsaber combat. If I want to be a badass in my force, be like all powerful force user, go down to one that allows me to utilize the Force in that way. I keep powering up my Force abilities. And then if I want to just master the character itself, so that way I get a pretty good balance of the lightsaber as well as the powers itself, then go down the other skill tree. Like, I want them to be a very defined, a very specifically defined skill tree that allows for you to go through the game several times. Or if you're one of those types of players that like to potentially just get all of the skills or whatever, maybe even put it to where if you beat the game, you got access to all of the you can get access to all of the skills if you want to, or you can just start the game over again and then start over with new skills, but you know, keep your progress and stuff. But like that, I don't mind that. We definitely need to work on that a lot more, because this is a Star Wars game and I like the RPG elements that are behind it. Maybe introduce some when it comes to like manipulating machinery or something like that. Force jump, you know what I'm saying? Add something to where you can jump higher, run faster. Makes sense, you know. Be able to use your Force grip to be able to deal more damage to bigger enemies and ships and shit like that. Because if you played the first Force Unleashed, there's one instance where this big just Star Destroyers in the background and you're trying to pull it down, which I don't know how in the hell this dude managed to do it, but somehow he pulled a damn Star Destroyer down while getting blasted by all these TIE fighter things, which was one of the most annoying freaking missions in the damn game. But if you're gonna go with the, like, you know, building up your Force ability, just make it a skill tree and make it one of those accessible skill trees. Players can just go through the game and play different way. Oh hell, what if you want to be a really good Force user and use lightsabers? Or if you want to be exceptionally individual and then, you know, boost up on your Force abilities, that way you can have the fullest potential when it comes to using the Force, or the fullest potential when you're using lightsabers. So there's a lot that could go into a skill tree for a Force Unleashed 2 video game. One and another thing, we need longer campaigns. And when I say longer campaigns, I mean, don't necessarily mean like what's the word now? When it's just a straight line. I can't linear. We don't need, like I said, I want a longer campaign, but it doesn't necessarily need to be linear. Problem with the first two games is they're completely linear. You go through the game, there's really no side missions you can embark on. There's really nothing interesting you can do. In fact, there's nothing you can do outside of the main story. You just go through the story and go through the motions. Need to deviate from that. And when I say longer campaign, also introduce us with a very really good and compelling story. And when I say story, introduced us to a lot more characters. Because pretty much the only characters that are really like the characters of the Force Unleashed games is pretty much Starkiller, the Emperor, Vader, Juno Eclipse, I can't remember that robot's name, the one that likes to try to kill you all the time, and Ram Koda. Like, no, go ahead and give us a lot more characters. And my thing is also this: I don't want none of the mainstream characters to make an appearance in this game outside of Vader and the Emperor. Why? Because it makes it very hard to make the story itself feel like it fits into the mythos of the Star Wars universe. Just go to a whole new planet, a whole new area, introduce us to whole new characters. That way you can have freedom to just go about the story the way you want. And like I said, give us an extensive campaign experience with side missions to deviate, let players deviate from the main campaign, and giving us a bit more freedom when it comes to games like this. When I say side mission, and this is where I'm going to kind of branch into the two main things that I do want to see in this freaking game. One, an open world universe, similar to possibly Mass Effect, and two, co-op in the form of Vader and Starkiller. But that's just me. There's no reason why we should not have this game be an open world universe. Now, I've played some of Mass Effect, the first one. I haven't played all of them, so I don't know. And I haven't played any of the other space foreign games like that. But I'm just going off of ideas that I'm coming up with. Now, there's no reason why we should not be able to go to these different areas of the universe and travel and go to the different planets, meet the different species, different peoples who have quests of their own, allowing for a lot of exploration and unlocking content. Like if you can go to all these different planets and acquire new outfits, go to these different planets and possibly even construct yourself your own lightsaber. And that's another thing that I would like to see in this game. Allow us to be able to pick our lightsaber style too, because there ain't nothing but really like 3 or 4 of them. You have the dual ones, like Darth Maul had. You have the 2 that the girl with the green tentacles in the back of their head, like what Starkiller's got right now. You kind of have the Starkiller method where he holds the saber behind his arm backwards like this, and then you have the traditional where it's, you know what I mean? They might have a couple of other variations, but I would like to see that that diversity when it comes to the combat. And I think that also, again, helps with the replayability, because you can go through the game playing like Darth Maul. You can go through the game playing like Starkiller. You can go through the game. Definitely do a great job of kind of showing us the relationship between Starkiller and Vader. Now, there is a story, a novel where Vader and I believe the Emperor get stuck on this planet, and they kind of have to rely on each other. I have it on audiobook. As soon as I get done listening to this Wonder Woman Warbringer book, I'm going to listen to that one and do a review on that. But like, there should be that. That'd be good for character development for both characters. You get to see how, and in the first Unleashed game, you got to play as Darth Vader, so you saw how badass he was. So it'd be nice to actually see the dynamic between these 2 characters, how he's instructing Starkiller, how he's training Starkiller. Perhaps even if this Star Wars Force Unleashed 3 is actually a prequel to the other 2 games, where Vader takes Starkiller out on a mission and is training him, and then they have to survive, focus on each other to survive. So like, that'd be really good concepts. I mean, and think of it, you get to have 2 players, 2 Force users, and think of all the challenging things you could throw out there. Other people, other Jedi and other Sith that are just lurking in the darkness. Like, that'd be freaking awesome. You know what I mean? So it'd be nice to actually, and if you do put the 2 players on it, it'd be nice to have that. But it'd be kind of like, I don't want it to be like, okay, we got 2 really powerful Force users, so they're just mowing through everybody. Even though technically a lot of people would like that, but I think that'd be a good developing arc for the 2 characters in the gameplay. Or make a story to where, I don't know, both of them are exceptionally powerful. No, Vader's exceptionally powerful, and then he got hit with something that weakened his abilities. So he's trying to develop his abilities again. They're growing in power. So that'd be an interesting concept. If you ever played Batman Arkham Knight, there's one sequence. My favorite sequences in the freaking game is when you're like fighting and you're tag teaming, like you're fighting 20 goons, and it's Batman and then Nightwing show up, or Batman and Red Robin show up, or Batman and Catwoman show up, and you had like these cool like team attacks and stuff like that. Like, that would be a great fighting style to be in this freaking game. So there's a lot that they could go in terms of the open world and the co-op. Me personally, you gotta have local co-op, not just online, and make it also competitive too. So see, racks up the most points, who can do the best kills and stuff like that. Like, that'd be freaking awesome too. But definitely put it on local, because all this online crap, I ain't finna buy no 2 Xbox Ones for me and my girlfriend to play this game when we're staying in the same freaking house. So I do that. But anyways, aside from all the QTEs need to quit, the skill tree, the open world universe, the 2-player co-op, the longer campaign, better stories, and like I said, I like the stories that need to be freaking better. And I think I can see this game actually as a prequel, because it would be a great way of telling a story between the 2 characters and how they identify with each other. More characters too, because Juno's probably my favorite character throughout all of this, because she's like the most, and probably in Coda too. They're like the characters with the most, the characters with the most personality to them. So would like to see more. Maybe some characters that were introduced but are not mainstream. Like, I don't want to see Han Solo show up. I don't want to see Princess Leia show up. I don't want to see Obi-Wan Kenobi show up or nothing like that. So maybe some characters from the Clone Wars or something like that. That'd be pretty awesome. And also the 2-player co-op mixed with the Vader and Starkiller. And like I said, touched on the mini games, the side missions. Like, there's definitely got to be a battle arena. I wouldn't mind seeing that, where you get to challenge other characters, other players online if you want to go with that. If you want to challenge each other, if you want to go with that, challenge different monsters, perhaps bounty hunters and things like that. Pick up on like racing, whether you're racing like the pods or spaceships, or even if you want to go with racing like animals or something like that. I think that would be a fairly good idea when it comes to this game. Or perhaps if you're able to, if they're just going to play a 1-player instead of just 2-player co-op, go ahead and make it to where you can have to change between Starkiller and Vader. Like, I wouldn't mind that. I mean, I'm sure most people would stick with Vader, but I want them to have different play styles. So, you know, later Starkiller tends to be quick with his attacks, where Vader is more power strike. So I want to see those two differences as well. I'm trying to think what else I had came up with when I'm thinking of like ideas for this. And also enemies. We do need tougher enemies that can actually challenge Force users. Because as much as fun as it gets when you're fighting stormtroopers and stuff like that, it does tend to get really boring, especially when somebody just run up on it. You can easily just force throw them over the cliff or something like that. But I do like those weird Dark Apprentice guys that use the Force as well. So if we can kind of bump up, but also kind of have it part of the main storyline too, as to why we have all of those. Like, that was freaking awesome. Remember in the movie The Last Jedi, where you had this moment between Rey and Kylo, where they had to fight these like Imperial guards? Like, that was freaking awesome. Probably one of my favorite sequences in all the Star Wars history, because it was badass. And I would like to see moments like that. Like, what if that would have happened and it was Vader and it was Starkiller? So just a lot. That's just food for thought. But anyways, guys, in the comment section below, let me know what your thoughts and ideas and opinions are of the Force Unleashed series, as well as what you would like to see in the Force Unleashed 3. I've already let you guys know my thoughts on it, so be sure to hit that like, share, subscribe, and that notification button to get the best of what's going on the Narik Chase channel. And remember, stay tuned Tuesdays and Thursdays. I do upload videos. And stay tuned later on tonight too. We hit a break of the base, and we might even do the Avengers Infinity War. Though I did want to do a review for it, spoiler review of top 10 moments, then come back and do the break of the base for it. But I don't know. But anyways, I might actually come back with another episode of Streamline to talk more about a video game adaptation of the Star Wars franchise. So without further ado, guys, let me stop rambling, and I'll catch you guys later in the next video. Peace out.